would you all please take your seats? We're starting in a few minutes. Thank you.
The World Smart City Forum. Please take your seats. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have a very full day ahead of us exploring the future of cities, the future of technology, the convergence of technology in cities, and we have in this room today many of the leaders who are making that happen. So we're grateful that you could take time with us. My name is Gordon Feller. I'm serving as the moderator today, so you'll unfortunately have to see a lot of me. I was told I should wear this kind of tie, and that makes me more visible. We are really here because some important organizations decided that we needed to gather you and a wider audience who are participating and the power of open global standards, the power of collaboration. And we thought, what better way to help push that forward than to get multiple organizations collaborating to organize this program. So as you know, this is with the Singapore government, and the Prime Minister's office will also be here on stage speaking about the Smart Nation program. But I wanted to provide a little framework and background to say the smart city revolution really started several decades ago when cities began to deploy smart meters and their utilities moved to smarter grids, and that really began the process that's now unfolding very rapidly. And we're here in Singapore for a very specific reason, not just because it's a beautiful city-state, not just because there are extraordinary innovations here, but because this is really one of the world's leading centers for smart city innovation. And we're fortunate to have a lot of you here from Singapore to help us stay focused and stay honest on the practical realities, the practical obstacles, the practical challenges, and how to overcome those. And that's our theme today, because we look at pain points in energy, in water this morning, in cybersecurity, in transport in the afternoon. We spend a lot of quality time digging into the details of what's the pain point that the city is experiencing in these four domains. And there will be some threads that we weave through this conversation. The challenges, of course, about global standards. The challenges, of course, of collaboration. Private sector, public sector. International organizations and cities. The consumer of the technology, the producer of the technology. There are many collaborations that we want to effect while we're here. And we think we can make some progress in the course of our day. Tell your colleagues, if you have a chance, to join us for the webcast. You can see the Twitter feed will be another channel for you to express your views. That's World Smart City 2016. You have access through the MICE Wi-Fi network here. Choose the MICE Wi-Fi network, and you can access information about each of our presenters. We're not going to spend a lot of time sharing the biographical information about each of them because you have access to background that we provide you on our website. But what we do want is your questions. You can ask those questions by holding up a piece of paper that we've provided you with your question on it, and one of the staff will gather those questions for each of the panels. After lunch, we'll have 3 presenters going back to wake you up out of your post-lunch slumber. These are fire starters, kick starters, conversation starters who will kick us off for the afternoon program. So each of those panel moderators, who I'll introduce when they come up, each of them has been given the task of leaving some time to get your input because you were invited for a reason. You're really a leader in this field and we want your questions. So, housekeeping, you see the fire exits. You know the bathrooms are down the hall in the main artery that got you here. If you have logistical questions that are pressing, please check with the staff. But we want to begin with, the important things, which are getting our host, our organizer, the International Electrotechnical Commission's leader, the General Secretary, here to give us an IEC perspective on why what we're doing today is just at the right moment in time, just at the right moment in history, coming together to resolve these pain points and break through those obstacles. So let me introduce and ask to join us here the CEO and General Secretary of the International Electrotechnical Commission, Franz Vreeswijk. He is here with his staff and has spent a lot of time thinking about this, and we're very grateful that he and his team organized today. Thank you, Franz.
So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm very happy that we're here together and that after, say, a year of planning, this is where we are together now. And we're very much looking forward to this discussion, this debate, the inventory of the pain points that we are going to make. Smart cities, as Gordon said, is a concept that exists for several years, but on the other hand, it is also new and timely and a hot topic. Initially, it was driven by IT companies and coincided with the, say, wide deployment of digital sensors and smart devices, which are now enabling the vision of a connected world. The development of smart cities is crucial for human beings. By 2050, 66% of the world population is expected to live in urban areas. Already today, cities consume about 70% of all the energy produced globally, which is quite significant. City authorities therefore face the challenge of satisfying the basic needs of citizens: sufficient clean water, electricity, the ability to travel efficiently from one point to the other, and a sense of safety and security. And in the major convention here, the World Cities Summit, these were the topics discussed, which I joined yesterday and the day before, several of those discussions. However, while ICT will be important, sustainable access to sufficient electricity will be the starting point for moving cities to greater smartness. Cities will also need a safe and reliable electrical and electronic infrastructure to collect, to process, and to share data and information. Last but not least, cities will require overarching guidelines and policies that enable the management and integration of a wide variety of city services. The IEC work provides the technical foundation for the electricity generation and the safety and performance and interoperability for nearly every electrical and electronic device used in a city, used in homes, used in buildings, for lighting, fresh water supply, for waste recycling, and for disposal, for transportation, healthcare, food distribution, and much more. You just name it. Building smart cities is a huge challenge, but also a very big opportunity. Today, many different public and commercial entities are contributing to smart city development. The challenge is that too many do so in isolation, with proprietary approaches and technologies. And this now has the danger of creating new silos that actually hinder smart city development. So the ISC has organized this forum in cooperation with ISO and ITU to find ways to overcome city development hurdles in energy, in water, transportation, and security. The three organizations publish international standards that are a key tool to integrating city services and technologies. So I'm looking forward to the panel discussions today, and I encourage you all here in Singapore and online around the world to ask questions and actively participate in these discussions. So thank you very much for your attention, and I wish us all together a very fruitful meeting. Thank you very much.
So as you know, we're trying to be an example of the kind of cross-border collaboration that's necessary, whether at the city level or at the national level or at the global level. And the other global organization who's here that many of you know, many of you may know the Singapore office of ISO, but of course the Geneva headquarters. We have the benefit of Kevin McKinley here from the ISO global headquarters in Geneva, and we hope that Kevin can come up and give us a perspective from ISO's point of view about how the global standards challenges are being addressed, not just by ISO and not just by the member organizations of ISO, the member states of ISO, but by all of us who are working every day with the benefit of the standards that we sometimes take for granted and that are invisible. So Kevin, thank you for joining us and welcome to the podium.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's really a great pleasure to join you all today. And as Franz has said, this forum is the result of extensive discussion and planning. Together, we're addressing a critical subject for citizens, for families, for business. So I'm from ISO, a leading developer of international standards, with 162 national members and a collection of more than 21,000 published standards. And today, it's no coincidence how this World Smart City Forum aligns with ISO's new 5-year strategy. So on the slide, you'll see 6 strategic directions that underpin a plan with ISO standards used everywhere as an aspirational ultimate objective. But this is accomplished through ISO's core business direction of developing high-quality standards through a global, nationally based membership. The other core strategic directions for ISO are engaging stakeholders and engaging partners. And this one is really the full acknowledgement and respect for the important global players for new, coordinated, and joint approaches. Together, this allows us to capitalize on the great work of partners and build common global approaches. The strategic plan is underpinned by actions supporting 3 pillars of people, communication, and technology. International standards are a foundation for building smarter, more sustainable urban environments. They help systems and products work together and spread new ideas, technology, and efficiency. ISO's work on city indicators helps city leaders identify key improvement areas. and a recently published ISO standard on sustainable development in communities will help people drive their own future urban living. ISO has also many standards on water, transportation, construction, and other subjects that make cities more livable and smarter. And a better, broader understanding of the needs of cities, their pain points, their constraints, is essential to building coherent approaches within ISO and with our partners and colleagues. I do hope we can use today's workshop to enhance engagement between the different organizations and stakeholders in this space to encourage dialogue and agreements between groups, and support a more coherent global portfolio of standards and guidance materials on smart cities that include common languages, taxonomy, and appropriate joint programs of work. So, in conclusion, I wish you all a successful event, and I look forward to the day's discussion. Thank you.
Well, it wouldn't be a complete opening if we didn't have all three of our pillar institutions who are providing the framework for not just our discussion today, but for the evolution of smart cities. The International Telecommunications Union in Geneva has been, for decades, the place where a lot of the fundamental issues get debated and resolved. And we're lucky to have with us the director of the ITU's International Telecom Standardization Branch Bureau. Dr. Chaesub Lee is here with us, and we hope that he'll give us an ITU perspective. Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very welcome to this Singapore. I'm very pleased to be here with you as a partner organization. This should be my controller. Looks like. Yeah, in ITU, ITU is an International Telecommunication Union. In our language of smart city is smart, sustainable city. We think about this smart. Since we use of this smartphone, I guess, we more use of this language of smart. One of way, there are many ways to make of smart city smart or people smart. One of way I believe is ICTs. Especially very recently of this use of these IoTs and the big data processing, we believe this is another way to make a city smart. Another important language for us is sustainable. So sustainable, we believe this should be done by the infrastructures, many of different infrastructures. France already said electricity, waters, even broadband ICTs, pipelines, roads, many infrastructures, they make us sustainable. City or community, definitely by the people, by the citizens. Heavily depend on the geolocations, cultural or historical background. There's a certain differences, I believe. ITU is a special agency on the UN system. We had a great chance to study on this smart city related subject. We initiated our study on the IoT, Internet of Things, since year 2008. And we continue these collaborations with many of STOs, especially IEC, ISO. And we had a focus group on smart cities since the February of year 2013 to May last year. All this result is handed over to the new study group 20 at the last year, and we are continuing these collaborations. As a UN agency, you have continued our works on collaborating with the other agencies like UNEC. Recently, we had a Rome Declaration, agreed our definition of smart cities, and launched United for Smart Sustainable Cities. this first meeting of this United for Smarter Sustainable Cities will be held this July 21st and 22nd, Geneva, Switzerland. And we'll continue one of our activities, Green Standard Weeks, shaping the smart sustainable cities. This year we are planned of Montevideo, Uruguay. All of these activities, we are trying to support UN Habitat No. 3 plans and strengthen regional initiatives. Definitely enhance the role of UN to build smart, sustainable cities. And the city and the community governors, we are continuing this to collaborate with them. Especially, we had ITU smart city KPIs, applying of these smart city KPIs. Dubai is the first city, Singapore is one of our collaborators, and Montevideo, many of the cities. I believe this is a great opportunity for the standard organizations and the many city governors. For me, it's a great opportunity to look at smart sustainable city as it looks like a la carte menu for us, and looks like a buffet style. Many stakeholders here. It's a great opportunity to find out which is better. I don't believe it is a single solutions, but many of solutions will be applied to the different cities, different communities. So having said that, I really wish all of you enjoy your discussions, have a fruitful result. Thank you very much.
Well, now you've heard 3 different international organizations provide some framing reference for us. We thought it would be good to now go from the global big picture point of view down to a very practical level to hear about one place in the world where many of these solutions are being deployed, where you have a strong executive leader with a long-term vision for developing smart solutions or deploying those developed by others. And we thought it would be a good moment in our program to hear from an elected official, the only one on stage today, who really embodies the smart city vision and has begun the difficult process of implementing it on Jeju Island. So we're very pleased to have the Honorable Hee Ryong-won, the governor and head of the Jeju provincial government of Korea. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I'm Jeju Governor from Korea. And I'd like to introduce the Jeju's vision and Jeju's implementation on smart city projects. Some of you know, I think, Jeju has a population of 650,000, and its surface area is 1,080 square kilometers, 3 times to Singapore. The land area is only 1% of Korea, but it is the lookout tower for the Korea, and it has value for beyond its size. Jeju's first value is definitely its clean nature, which the UN also acknowledges. Jeju is designated as the World Natural Heritage, Global Geopark, and Biosphere Reserve. And this is unprecedented in the world. Jeju set the priority on the preservation of its environment and wisely use of the value of nature and abundant wind, and seeks to bring about innovative change with green technologies. In addition, Jeju is an ideal location for low-carbon green industries such as electric vehicles, wind power, and others. We can say the most meaningful aspect of the Paris Climate Change Conference last December was the establishment of the Universal Climate System, where every country participates according to its capacity regardless of whether they are developed or developing. The Paris Conference also requires a paradigm shift toward new energy. According to the IEA report recently published, there will have been investment over $12 trillion in the energy sector by 2030. And it's expected that over $8 trillion of this will be focused on renewable energy, such as solar, wind power, and others. In addition, according to a Bloomberg New Energy Finance report published in June, investment in renewable energy continues despite low oil prices. It's expected that by 2040, over 40% of global power generation will be from solar and wind power, and approximately 35% of newly sold cars will be EVs. At the Paris Climate Conference, I made a presentation about the carbon-free island 2030 vision, in which power demand all around Jeju will be supplied by 100%. Frankly speaking, 99%. Renewable energy and all cars replaced with EVs. And I suggest that green Big Bang solutions. This is to overcome the limitations of a single technology through interaction and implement a model which can lower costs through a fusion of technologies and create a successful universal model to be diffused widely. We are trying to be a showcase for the world by creating a new industrial ecology for the climate energy era through EVs, power storage systems, smart grid, or energy internet, and more. Therefore, now we need a new energy policy and a model with high universality, which can be spread worldwide. Jeju has a lot of potential to establish and operate a successful model. Jeju is also advantageous as a testbed for a successful model because of the island's autonomy and firm leadership. In addition, Jeju has enough abundant renewable energy resources to meet 100% of its power demand, along with resources to meet, along with considerable experience and high accessibility in core green technologies such as the smart grid, energy storage system, EVs, and others. Jeju is a region that is popularizing and commercializing EVs at the most rapid pace in the world as well. When the Jeju case succeeds and spreads to around 2,500 cities around the world, it will be able to reduce 1/8 of global carbon emissions. It can also greatly contribute to new growth engine and job creation. Therefore, rather than just taking on this responsibility of tackling climate change, we conversely must take this as an opportunity for a new industrial revolution. This is Jeju Future, Smart City and Green Big Bang strategy. We are undertaking an experiment to ascertain the potential for Jeju to spread its fourth industrial revolution in tourism and IT, where nature and future industry are interlocked nationwide and further to the world. The fourth industrial revolution, linking autonomous vehicles and artificial intelligence, is possible in Jeju, and its effect can be connected to new business models and a new industrial ecology. According to a report on the future of cars by McKinsey & Company and Stanford University, they predict that the number of EVs supplied by that time, by 2030, will vary according to each city. It's needless to say, but the capacity of the local government and the leadership of the mayor or governor can be the biggest driver of change. During the last Paris conference, I had a conversation with the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon Mr. Ban said local government, private enterprises, and civil society organizations are the main agent of practice responding to climate change, which he expressed as the year of trilateral partnership. I made a public-private partnership agreement between Jeju Provincial Government and Korea Electric Power Corporation, KEPCO, LG Company, and others. Along with that, I organized a professional organization titled the Green Big Bang Committee, in which professionals and citizens participate. Based on this, we are practicing a global eco-platform, Jeju model. Just as the cities of horse-drawn carriages and automobiles are different, the cities of EVs and autonomous vehicles will be different. Moreover, cities with solar and wind-powered renewable energy, microgrid, energy-effective buildings, smart treatment of water and waste, and artificial intelligence will be totally different from present-day cities. We will seek plans to recreate Jeju Island from a green smart perspective by collecting extensive opinions from residents and experts. In order to contribute to global cooperation, we are going to host the Global Green Growth Cooperative Conference with the attendance of the OECD, the World Bank, UNEP, and the GGGI in Jeju this coming September. I'd like to discuss global cooperative plans with you attending this from today. The partnership bringing us together today is the key word leading us to our future, and I think here we have the practical governance of global cooperation. I hope this forum will be a bridgehead of a new cooperation for challenges unfolding as we realize future cities where humans coexist with nature. And this is our duty for future generations. Thank you.
Well, I said that we wanted to get grounded in the reality of building the new future today, and I think you get a sense of what's happening in Korea. Now, let's ask for a picture of what's happening here on the ground in Singapore. We have the benefit of Mr. Kok Yam Tam from the Smart Nation Program Office attached to the Prime Minister's office, and he directs that program, and we're very grateful that he's here today. Thank you so much.
Good morning. It is an honor for me to be here today and a special honor to be able to take the stage after Governor Won. One thing has changed and one thing has shifted. There is hype, but there is plenty of truth and reality to the hype. And the thing that has changed fundamentally, relentlessly, exponentially is the cost of computing. What I have in my pocket, the computing power used to require a truck to carry. It used to cost a few $100 million to sequence the genome, the human genome. Now it's in the order of a few thousand, and groups are bringing it to $100. So with the accessibility and availability of computing, of connectivity, the way we access information, the way we connect with people, conduct businesses, the way we talk to things, the way we know when the tire is flat, the way where the pill is in my body, and whether my suit can tell me, what my heart rate is. All that is changing. Plenty of opportunities and plenty of challenges. There will be new business and social models, which leads to lots of data being generated, which used to not matter, except now we have the ability to process and access the data for even more value creation. So a virtuous cycle resulting in great challenges and opportunities. Our approach to the smart nation, to this digital revolution, is to take a practical one, an aspirational one, and an inclusive one. So let me just elaborate a little on what that means. First, the practical part is that we want to leverage on our strengths. We are a small nation, a compact nation. We have excellent connectivity to start with because we are small. It's easy to connect us up. We have consistently, over the long term, invested in education and R&D. So we have a good technical base from which we believe we can exploit the progress in digital technology. We are compact. 80% of our housing comes under the Housing Development Board, public housing. We are able to roll in the fiber into every house more easily than most jurisdictions can. In a manner of speaking, we cheat because we have one huge public developer. Finally, we have a tradition of being able to look at our problems and solve it quite specifically with engineering. Water is a good example of how we've managed to scale up an engineering solution, reverse osmosis basically, as a means to provide water for population. Well, the second point is which is aspirational, is that we need to focus on people. Technology will interest geeks, interest engineers, interest all of us here. But for it to interest the individual on the ground, the community, and the politician, it has to be based on needs of people. And this is a thing that has not moved but has shifted. Our key areas are based on that requirement to meet the need of people and society. We look at where technology, digital technology, can improve living, can create opportunities through the digital job industry 4.0, and how it can bring, the digital platform can bring communities closer together. And we've picked certain verticals where we believe there is a high impact, a high mind share on the public. People want these things improved, and people want to see digital technologies improve these things yesterday. In mobility, in better services from government, in better services from government, in homes and environment, in health and aging, and that's a key problem, key issue, not just for Singapore, I think for many developed cities, the increased aging population, and finally in building a competitive economy. Let me just quickly go through what I mean by these 5 verticals. The third point is that we want to build an inclusive, collaborative effort. So it is not a huge government effort, a huge public sector-led effort to build a smart nation or a smart city. It's something that includes private sector companies, includes the citizenry. It's not just in pointing out what the problems are, but in giving the solutions, in co-creating, in collaboration. So, mobility, the first one that we talked about. Today, the effort is on data, collecting data. We've put sensors on our buses, so we know when the buses are crowded, we know when they are sort of lagging, and we inject buses as and when to give commuters a more predictable stream of bus, a more predictable waiting time for the buses. Very practical. In future, can the connectivity be extended so that we have a public transport network that runs on autonomous technology? Can I use that to overcome an inherent lack of manpower to drive public transport buses and yet still have that pervasive public transport bus network to be able to bring people on buses away from cars, resolve congestion, reduce pollution? In improving our daily environment, daily living, we are experimenting with different technologies, piloting them in brownfield sites, in estates. This is Punggol, and this is Punggol, and this is Yuhua. And here we are focusing some of the deployments of smart energy management systems, smart water management systems within an estate area to see how best we can plan at that level for maximum impact. So in Yuhua, we have different applications from smart energy management, smart energy systems, to lift systems, all connected together by a central planning system, a central operating system. We are also experimenting with going into the homes. So this is where we have to work very closely with the residents because it is their home. And we look at certain services, such as helping the resident manage and monitor their energy usage more regularly, and also putting in place sensors and systems to allow me to be informed if an elderly person in my house had taken a fall. And so we are working some of these things. Public acceptance is important, but it is an effort to try to see what has most traction with the residents in this estate of Yihua. Now, improving public services has 3 tracks. It's about service delivery, first of all, being able to transact with the citizen on the mobile phone, on a web-based medium. Number 2, it is about improving policy and planning. It is about knowing where to put infrastructure like overhead bridges. It's about knowing where to invest in more roads and physical infrastructure. The third point is about transforming of operations. This is we did a little data study on where fires happen in our rubbish chutes in housing estates. And as it turns out, it shouldn't surprise us, it happens during Chinese New Year. Right? It took a team of data scientists to reach that conclusion. But anyway, we got there. But the point is, data can have very meaningful impact on how we deploy our resources operationally and in the long term. This is a more interesting one on how we've managed to segment our library borrowers. So we found that there are 2 types of elderly library borrowers, one that borrow for their grandchildren, and another that have hobbies of their own and borrow books on photography, on hobbies, on wine, and so on. And with this, the library was better able to stock and to meet these 2 separate needs. A little trivial in the big scheme of things, but a demonstration of the power of being able to use data to improve government services. In health, we are looking at 4 things. First is about data portability, being able to bring your own health records from clinic to clinic, from doctor to doctor, so that there's continuity of care. Second is about promotion of wellness, knowing how far you walk, how much you eat, and you know your heart rate and so on. Hopefully, it helps to promote wellness and that responsibility of caring for yourself. The third is healthcare productivity, how in the institution, in the hospital, in the nursing home, we can use certain robotics and other systems to improve productivity of the healthcare worker. And finally, home and community care, how indeed we can bring the services of the doctor to the home, to the community, so that it is not a trip. It doesn't require a trip to the clinic for every ailment and every symptom. And that's an important point as we grapple with an increasing aging population. And the final one, which is important, is to build a competitive economy. We want to be a living test bed. We want to work with companies, cities, and countries. We want to be a place where ideas can be developed, piloted, and deployed, not just in Singapore, but hopefully beyond that. And we want to be part of the global value chain in this. And to that, we have designated and will continue to designate different areas for test bedding, for experimentation. The final point, and this is, I think, my third last slide, is public co-creation and engagement. We went on a campaign to encourage our agencies to bring out as much data as possible, not just in the volume of data, but the machine readability of it, the accessibility of APIs to allow external developers to play with the data to develop solutions on that data. Now, standards, open standards, enable orders. We need open standards to ensure physical safety and reliability. When you go talk about transportation systems, when you talk about energy systems, the ability to be assured in those standards allow us to deploy the technology. We need standards in cybersecurity, so it's not just about having the building management system safe from attack to itself. It's about making sure that nobody uses the building management system to attack your other computer systems. So cybersecurity is important. If we don't deal with this, we'll all end up in silos. And the final point is about interoperability. If we want to change our lamppost to be smart, we want to know that it interoperates with other smart devices, and we don't have to change our lampposts across the city all over again. So with this, I end my presentation. I would like to suggest that Singapore would be a useful, interesting venue for which to conduct much of the discussion on standards. First of all, not because we are smart, but because we are trying, we are committed to dealing with challenges, and we are committed to piloting and evolving those solutions on the ground. And second point is we are an open country. Most of our ideas, we are just 5 million, and most of our ideas are imported from all over the world, and we want to use that as an advantage, as a selling point maybe, to encourage the conversation on standards, which is extremely important to us in this space. To that, thank you.